Welcome to Bleachers and Speakers. I'm your host, June, and welcome to today's Who Will Be King show. It's my favorite episode where I get with my NFC North comrades, and I'll let them introduce themselves and tell you where you can listen to them and find them. We do not have a Green Bay representative, so if you know of anyone that's interested that has to go through the grueling season of being a Packer, and if you're interested in blogging and doing the show with us, just get in contact with us or leave a comment. Do whatever you got to do. We'll start with Dave. Introduce yourself to the people. Tell them where we can listen to your show. Name your show. All of that stuff.
Hey, everybody. I'm Dave from Vikings First and Skull. And you can catch us at Vikings First and Skull on YouTube, Fans First Sports Network, and over on Facebook as well. You can find our shows. We do quite a few during the week and on the weekend. So we're here, we're there, we're everywhere, including podcasts. All you got to do is ask your favorite device to play Vikings First and Skull, and you're here. You will hear some smart purple tinted football.
Pay.
I'm Pay from DBC, Dub Bear Claw.
Stop Bears.
Representing Chicago to its fullest, the finest city in the Union. You can catch all of that show, all of those shows surrounding the Bears and other Chicago cities at Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan on YouTube. And if you're more so inclined to listen audio wise, the Bear Claw is anywhere you get podcasts: Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, and wherever else. I can't promise you, like Dave did, that it will always be smart, but it will definitely be entertaining.
All right. International Foster.
Foster Child, one half of Bleachers and Speakers and CEO of Frontline Apparel, Copper Tea.
All right. And where can we find your shows?
Oh, on YouTube at Bleachers and Speakers, and on all streaming platforms, Bleachers and Speakers.
You can also catch us your audio feeds through any of the podcast streaming platforms. You as the same ones that Pay mentioned. Just type in Bleachers and Speakers, follow us, download the episodes. Good afternoon, fellas. How's it going?
Just
call it,
roasting
man.
here.
I know it's hot in Texas, man. I know it's hot in Atlanta too.
Oh, listen, man. I had a question. Is it ever just partly cloudy in Atlanta? The sun just be out here naked and just baking us all day. From 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. It's full blown solar nudity, just giving us all type of sun rash.
It's Atlanta. Everybody naked in Atlanta, right?
I'm definitely learning new weather terminology today, like solar nudity.
That's crazy.
I don't know how. I mean, I know here in Michigan it's been really cloudy the past few days, but it's been muggy. It's like really humid outside, so it's very uncomfortable. What's the temperature like around in Round Rock there, Dave?
Down here in Austin, we're actually cooler today. It was only, I looked, 97 degrees.
Only.
The feels like is probably about 105.
Oh my God.
Well, you guys do what you got to do. Stay hydrated. You said only 97. That just gives me the cringes. I mean, what is it like, Foster? Almost 90 here. It's like 87 here.
Yeah, it's pretty warm here.
It's warm, but it's like upper 80s. Now it's not quite.
And it's gloomy. Yeah, it's not even sunny outside.
Yeah. So anyway,
I would love that.
Yeah. Anyway, we've been Detroit's been kind of quiet lately. The rumblings are from the Pistons standpoint, which is another headache in itself. We won't get into that. But I wanted to do something different today. We've been talking about players and we've been talking about acquisitions. We're still going to get back to the players, but this week I want to talk more about the coaching. I think that's we all know that's an integral part of the team's success. The coaching, your coordinators. We don't have to get into who's the special teams coordinator or passing or let's just talk about head coach, defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator. So we'll go around the room. And Dave, why don't you introduce to the people who don't know who the Minnesota Vikings head coach and defensive and offensive coordinators are?
All right. The head coach of the Minnesota Vikings is Kevin O'Connell. He was hired, he's going into his third season. He was previously offensive coordinator for the LA Rams. He is a disciple of that sort of West Coast style of, not West Coast as in offense, but the McVay style of offense. He does call plays during the games. He is considered a quarterback guru. In fact, he was a quarterback. He played for the Patriots and a couple other teams before he worked his way out of the league. He is considered one of the young guns to compete like with LaFleur in the division. So it's going to be interesting to see how he works out. He was or is the first man or the quickest to 20 wins in Minnesota Vikings history. He got 20 wins in 30 games, beating out Dennis Green, who did it in 32 games. So he now holds that record. He is our head coach. When it comes to coordinators, over on the defensive side, we have Brian Flores, better known as B-Flow. Brian Flores, you may know, was the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. He is very innovative in how he calls a defense. It is not your grandfather's defense. It is not a typical 3-4 or 4-3. It is a mixed match, and he confuses the heck out of opposing offenses with virtually nothing in the way of talent on that side of the ball. Now, we have got more talent this year, so we're looking for a bigger improvement. And if you're wondering where the Vikings finished last season, it was 9th or 11th, depending on the stat on defense, unlike the year prior when we were down at 30th. Then the offensive coordinator, who you barely hear of, is Wes Phillips, who happens to be grandson of Bum Phillips. And that, however, everybody in the Phillips family is a defensive mind. Wes took it the opposite way, and he is an offensive mind, and he is integral to planning during the week of how the Vikings will play. That, in a nutshell, is your Minnesota Vikings big three when it comes to the coaching staff.
Okay, we'll get back to you because I got a few questions. Hey, you want to introduce the people? Who's running the ship for the Bears?
It might be rudderless if you've been paying attention. So the head coach for the Bears, the alleged head coach for the Chicago Bears is Matt Eberflus. You all know him because as you've seen the Bears the last 2 seasons, you've checked them off as a guaranteed W for your team. He's going into his 3rd season at Chicago Bears, again, allegedly as the head coach. We shall find out if he will have a 4th or finish out his 3rd. We'll find that out in about 90 days. Check back in on that one. Underneath the coaching umbrella of Eberflus, we have first-year offensive coordinator with the Bears, Shane Waldron. He was the former offensive coordinator with the Seattle Seahawks the last 3 seasons. He takes a lateral job with the Chicago Bears to coach up the phenom Caleb Williams. He resurrected Geno Smith's career. Let's see what he can do with Caleb. And the new defensive coordinator for the Chicago Bears is Eric Washington. Eric Washington comes from Buffalo. He spent the last 4 seasons there as I believe, a defensive line coach. He was a defensive line coach at Buffalo for the last 4 seasons. If you recall, the Bears had one of the better second half defenses in the league, and this is after firing the defensive coordinator we had last year. So fingers crossed that we don't have to fire this defensive coordinator for anything inappropriate off field or on the field.
Oh yeah.
B. Foster.
Yo.
Same question. Who are your offensive coordinator? Who are your coaching staff? Offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, head coach.
All right, our offensive coordinator is the guru and extraordinaire Ben Johnson, who's been rumored to be, he's almost left the last 2 years, due to his, offensive genius, but he's definitely put together quite the performance as far as offense is concerned. He's molded the team into quite the the juggernaut, if you will. It's certainly got some folks paid thus far. They'd like to give him a lot of credit as to why Goff has been as good as he's been, and St. Brown, and he's known for his creative gadget plays and whatnot. But there's not enough things you can say about Ben Johnson. As far as our defensive coordinator, he's the one that has been on the hot seat the last couple of years, and has been accused of not making the proper adjustments, and probably nearly lost his job the year that the secondary coach. I think 2 of our secondary coaches have got fired in this time, right? Dre Bly and the other guy. But Aaron Glenn, he's definitely somebody to look out for this year. I think that he made some pretty good adjustments last year to try to create pressure out of what we had in our front 4 or our front our 7, or however you want to call it. But definitely a notable name, a guy that an ex cornerback for the Jets and all that. And of course, last but not least, Dan Campbell, who is notorious and famous for his biting kneecaps, and he's created an epic culture that's pretty much been built on grit, and he's defied the odds and assisted the team in ascending to a point where we were nearly in a Super Bowl, and he started that at a 3-13 record his first year in Detroit. So we love him very much, and he never needs to leave.
Yeah. Dave, would it be asking too much for you to introduce the Green Bay? You don't have to elaborate, but do you know offhand the Green Bay coordinators and head coach?
Well, their head coach is Matt LaFleur. As far as their coordinators, without looking it up, I did not look it up prior, so I don't know. Sorry about that, folks.
No. I just didn't want to leave them completely out. That's good enough. They got Matt LaFleur. I'm happy.
And Matt LaFleur is one of those, young gun head coaches that is, quote, at the top of the league right now.
Yeah. I agree.
Quote unquote.
Well, I mean, I just didn't want to leave Green Bay totally out of it, because there is another team in our division. So,
is there? Allegedly.
Unfortunately, yes. Pay. I had an actual hot seat question, but Foster kind of took that away, talking about the hot seat.
Jump the gun.
Let me switch gears and do a little something different than what I had planned. I want you to put on your GM hats, gentlemen, and I'm going to ask you first, Dave, and then Pay can answer, followed by Foster. With an unsuccessful season, do you make any changes at coach? Do you expect to make any changes if you're not where you think you should be after this 2024-2025 season?
It's a great question. It's split in our fan base. A lot of people think that the Wolves will give Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, our GM, extensions this year. They're on 4-year contracts, or they might wait till next year, which is their normal go-to. It's right before a coach goes into his lame duck season. They usually get an extension. But there's the philosophy, well, they drafted a young rookie, so that resets the clock. We'll see how he develops him. They were brought in to draft that said young rookie quarterback. That was the whole purpose of the hires. And I think even if the Vikings don't do well this year, and by don't do well, finish way under 500, I still think their jobs are safe. Now, after that, then things will start to heat up a bit. But I do think they don't have to worry about this season no matter how it goes, because the whole plan, and they've had this plan since day one, is that run Kirk Cousins for 2 years, start building up the rest of the team, shed the old guys and the old cap weight. They've done that. They've gathered some more talent. They still have a little bit more to go to open up that Super Bowl window, but they've done that. And to draft that rookie quarterback that could be the first true franchise quarterback that's drafted by the Vikings since Fran Tarkenton. So I don't think they're in danger of losing their jobs, even if they'd have to have a disastrous season this year for that to happen. And I can't foresee that. There's too much talent on the team for that to happen.
Now I can kind of sense what's going to go on with Pay. So what happens, Pay, if you don't have the season that you're supposed to have, in your opinion? What happens to your coaching staff?
What happens to them? You all have any job openings up there in Detroit and Minnesota, maybe Green Bay?
I just know you're just waiting to as a GM. If you were GM, you'd be waiting for Eberflus to just get out of pocket just once. I think he has a short leash. But go ahead though, elaborate on.
I don't know if the GM might actually have a short leash, just like Eberflus. But he might have saved himself by drafting this phenom quarterback. Maybe gave himself a little more extended rope. But Eberflus, he could have been gone at any point last season in his second year. Right. Let me tell you something. He if he's still searching for that first win in his October, get him out of here. Get him out of here. Get him all the way up out of here. If he doesn't win the first Green Bay game, get him out of here. Get him out of here. If we don't play Green Bay until week 9, 10, somewhere around there. We better be comfortably above 500. If we're struggling 500 or even below, and we lose that game to Green Bay, don't come back. Don't come back. You can stay where you're at. I believe I believe our first Green Bay game is in Chicago. That's good for you. If we lose that game, it's a short ride home. Pack your stuff up, hit the bricks. You and your offensive, you and your coordinators, all of y'all can go. All y'all can go. We ain't have no more time, and we'll just do this whole thing all over again. We'll get another coach who's got somebody else's quarterback, and we'll do it all over again.
Understandable.
And what's interesting is Green Bay and Minnesota are tied together because we both hired new GMs and new head coaches 3 years ago. And they're going to be compared. It's going to be tying at the hip, how one does versus the other one. Foles is he was interviewed by the Vikings and he wanted to tear everything down and rebuild. The owners of the Vikings said no. Well, Ryan Poles goes to Chicago and they say, cool, let's do that. We got nothing better to lose. And so it's two separate visions, and it's going to be interesting to see how both teams fail or succeed at those visions. Both can fail, both can succeed, or it could be one or the other. But it's going to be interesting. But I think Minnesota has the heads up when it comes to the head coaching race, because I think Eberflus, as Pay frustratingly espouses weekly, seems to be the problem.
All right. We'll take a quick break. Foster, I'm going to ask you the same question on the other side. I'll reintroduce the question so you won't be totally in the dark, in case you forget. But we'll take a quick break. And for those that are listening, you'll hear some wonderful ads. For those that are watching, we'll be back in about 10 seconds. B. Foster, the Lions have a unsuccessful season. What are you doing with the coaches there?
The coaches as a whole, or just are you talking about a specific individual coach?
You can break it down. Let's say, for instance, okay, like I'll give you an example. Like I think, in my opinion, the only person that job is in jeopardy is Aaron Glenn. I think Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator, can afford to have a down season, and I think they're not bailing out on Dan Campbell, no matter what happens this season. So
Correct.
But
yeah,
you can elaborate on that.
So yeah, I think that despite the fact that I think Aaron Glenn just signed an extension last February, a multi-year extension last February, I think that if given the retooling and the strong draft that we had to build up our defense, I think that if we got off to a slow start defensively, we're still having issues rushing the quarterback, and we're having these breakdowns in the secondary. I could see a scenario where Aaron Glenn is back on the hot seat and fighting to keep his job, just because we've kind of been through that before with him. But yeah, I think that there's, I mean, Dan, no, it's nothing. I mean, Dan, we know that he is, takes chances and is very, I don't want to say emotional or impulsive, but he makes questionable decisions at times. But I think that he would have to do a whole lot for, what he's done so far to be washed away with a bad season. And, Ben Johnson, we're kind of just happy he's still here, because we thought that, okay, maybe he won't leave the first time, but the second time, sure. I feel like we were ready to find, we were on Indeed looking, or what's the name of that site?
Indeed.
The other
LinkedIn.
one with LinkedIn. My bad, LinkedIn. Looking for another offensive coordinator. Monster.com. But yeah, so we're just happy to still have him, and yeah, there's nothing, he can't do anything wrong.
Yeah, I just think you mentioned before the hot seat. If there's anybody on the hot seat as far as the coaching staff, as far as coordinators and the head coach, it would have to be Aaron Glenn, unless like Aaron Glenn would have to have a very dismal season for them to say okay, because I think their excuses are gone. You retool with the defensive backfield. Him being a former defensive back as well.
Exactly.
We gave you the tools. This is like it's no excuses. Coach him up. Don't get burnt like you did last year. So I think if that happens, I think Aaron Glenn, extension or not, you see what happens with the money around here with the basketball coach. He'll definitely cut loose a coordinator.
70 million out of here.
It's just 65 million. They just let him go. All right. We talked about the coaches. I think I don't know who it was. I think it was you, Dave, that brought up an interesting topic. And we'll go around the room. It involves the best player in the NFC North. We'll break this down. And I want to know from each one of you, who do you think is the best player on your respective team? We'll go with Pay first. Pay, who's the best player on the Bears?
Ooh, loaded question. I think it has to be our single All-Pro, Jalen Johnson. Rated one of the better cornerbacks in the league last year, in the last 2 years, to be honest with you. I don't think there'll be too many Bear fans that would disagree with me with that. Maybe some of them will say it's got to be the quarterback. I would say the guy that's done it, Jalen Johnson.
I like Jalen Johnson. That's a very good choice. I was hoping he would be a free agent and he'd be in Detroit.
I was also hoping Ben Johnson would be a free agent, but
Hey, man, don't be preying on our people, man. Foster, who's the best player on the Lions?
You know, I wanted to say Amon-Ra St. Brown, but I feel like when all things considered, I think the face of our franchise and the heartbeat of it still comes back to Jared Goff when it's said and done. I mean, we cheered Jared Goff at DCFC soccer games. He gets love on all wherever you go. So yeah, I'm going with Jared Goff.
Pay, you're doing that, and you started to say Caleb. Let's not do that.
I didn't say that. I said some
You
people might.
You started. You had
That
it.
would be insane. That would be insane.
It would be insane. It would be insane. And sanity is not my thing to do today.
Pay is not a golf fan. He doesn't believe in golf. I seen the 180. I seen the 180. Pay. I seen it.
I'm not going to disagree.
Evil laugh. Evil laugh.
Dave, we all know. But if you must,
Jordan Love is the best player on the Packers.
Good. There you go. There you go.
Okay.
Vehemently disagree.
Well, and he may not be. I was going to say Aaron.
Well, he's the
Aaron
ultimate,
Jones from last year, but hey, we have him now.
he's the ultimate professional, Jordan Love.
Yes, the professional quarterback.
Right.
And the second half, he was playing well. I got to give him that. But I'm looking at the Packers, and I'm not seeing a whole lot. There could be,
Josh Jacobs.
yeah. There's and
Corner.
defense wise, meh. But that's for the Packers, and we'll see this season. But the best player on the Minnesota Vikings, and to answer Sunday Night Football, i.e. NBC's question of who's the best player in the NFC North, belongs to Justin Jefferson, the best wide receiver in all of the NFL.
Okay. I think we can all agree that unless someone says differently, that Justin Jefferson is the best player in the NFC North. Pay, do you have any quarrels with that?
I don't. I do have a quarrel with the Packers, but no, Justin Jefferson is head and shoulders the best player in the division.
Okay. But okay, I've let you guys off the hook with the number one player in the NFC North, because we know it's just, but it gets kind of tricky when you consider who's the second best player in the NFC North. So I'll start with Dave. In your opinion, who's the second best player in the NFC North?
Not at a glory position. I'd probably have to give it to Penei Sewell.
That's a good one. Oh
It's real good.
Dang,
He's-
that's good.
The great,
He's, if not the best, one of the top 2 or 3 best right tackles in the league, period.
okay, Pay. Who
Stole
do you
my
think
thunder.
the second best player in the NFC North?
Penei Sewell is a good pull.
It's a very good one. I wouldn't
thinking. Yeah, I was actually thinking of somebody different from the Lions to be number 2, Amon-Ra St. Brown. But I feel like it's disrespectful for me not to just shout out Jair Alexander from the Packers. I mean, he might actually be the second best player in the division.
very good corner. Very good. Foster.
I always forget about the big round bellies. That was a great answer.
Well, you know Dave is going to say around Billy.
You know I love my big round belly.
Yeah, that was a good one. And I don't want to say, Jair Alexander, I was actually, would say as far as the Packers would be their best player. So I like that answer as well. And I don't want to take anybody else's. So I'll say, honestly, when it's all said and done, Jahmyr Gibbs could be one of the better players in the whole NFC North.
Spicy. That's hot.
when it's all said and done, he could be one of those ones. He was a rookie last year. He was amazing last year. But I would say right now, I would say Hutch is right now an overall better, apples and oranges between a running back and an edge rusher. But Hutch, hopefully Hutch, Lord willing, Hutch is up there.
Yeah,
I didn't really answer the question, but I just wanted to throw some names out there.
you did good enough.
I knew Gibbs was going to be spicy though.
Hey, why do you think that's spicy?
Well, for one, I didn't think we was going to name a running back at all in the top 5. But Jahmyr Gibbs, yeah, hey, shout him out. I like Jahmyr Gibbs. He's
dual threat. He's one of the most dangerous outside of Jefferson. He's probably one of the more dangerous players with the ball in his hand.
Yeah, he's definitely a game breaker. But yeah, I think because he's going into his second season, because he's a running back, that just inflames the hot take even more. Because I don't think a second-year player can actually register for this type of discussion. I mean, no matter what position he's in. I mean, you gotta see him be tested. You will catch everybody off guard your first year. No one's expecting much of you. But now that we got some tape on you, and now that the expectations are there, you gotta meet those expectations. You gotta take your game to another level. So a second-year player, no matter who, you could be a quarterback, you could be CJ Stroud. I could not put you in the top 5. Just couldn't do it.
I get it.
CJ Stroud he's up there too.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how CJ Stroud plays this season because people now do have tape on him and know what to expect from the Texans. So I agree with Pay. You got to prove it in that second year if you had a good first one.
Mm-hmm. I fingers crossed on Gibbs. I want to see him because he's electrifying.
Yeah, he was an RB2, had 10 touchdowns.
I was watching some tape of him today. They had some highlights, and they was basically kind of walked you through the play. And there's quite a few plays where his vision is just second to none, and he cuts back. And most people, when they cut back, they have to slow down to do it, and he does it in one motion without losing too much speed. And it's just breaking the tape down. It's like, wow, this guy.
You were pissed that we drafted him.
Okay, Foster. This is not. I feel it's
not about you. It's not about you.
This is not about me. And for the record, I don't like any free agent acquisitions. I don't like any of the draft picks ever. I'm usually wrong.
So. Shady. It's shady business, I think. Now
it is. Now, with that being said, we can go a little deeper, do a deeper dive into this player question. Is Justin Jefferson the best player in the NFL?
No. Almost, but no.
Mr. Mahomes.
Wait, and then there's Dave. Dave, I see the look on your face. What's going on here?
No, I have to agree with Mr. Mahomes, but he is the best wide receiver in the league, bar none. But
there's no doubt.
You got to take Patrick Mahomes. He didn't have anybody to throw to last year, and he still took his team to the Super Bowl and won it. That's just it's absurd. We all hope for that, but it's Patrick Mahomes.
Not before losing to the Lions, but for what it's worth. For what it's worth.
For what it's worth.
Oh, now Super Bowls count now.
It's not anything, Foster.
The MVP. It's not the MVPs in the regular season. All right.
Yeah, it's just how far we got till training camp? What's the training camp day again?
The Bears open on the 26th, so we have 23 days until the Bears report to Bourbonnais.
Okay. Any of you guys got plans to actually attend any of the practices, if allowed?
I am sending one of the co-hosts up there. I am not a training camp guy, but the Bear Claw will be represented at camp.
and Vikings First and Skull will be represented too. Now, our camp starts July 27th. However, I did find out this week that rookies report the 21st and the vets report the 23rd. It's not open to the public until the 27th.
Gotcha.
Yeah. See,
No.
you guys are away from your respective teams. You live where me and Foster are right here. And we have no excuse but to be there. We have to go, Foster. We have to attend one of them at least.
Yeah.
It's great
Yeah.
content.
We're here. We're here.
Right here.
Pay is even sending a representative. I mean, we got to get to the point to where we got representatives. We're not on their level, Pay.
I mean, I'm looking at 2 representatives right now for BTS.
we don't have nobody to send.
Our friends are losers, man. I don't know.
You wouldn't believe the help we've tried to get to have more shows, and it's
The
like
atrocities. The atrocities.
oh man, we get more excuses. So that's another subject. I don't want to go on about that. So, any news coming out of your camps, as far as football? Any football news? Starting with Dave. Anything going on with the Vikings?
We keep seeing highlight clips of J.J. McCarthy throwing the football to Adam Thielen they're up in Minnesota right now. They're at one of the junior high's fields, real nice field. And today another clip came out with more Vikings players there and J.J. McCarthy throwing the ball along with Adam Thielen. And I just love it. I think it's great that the young kid is putting in the work. He's going to make it happen. He's doing everything possible. And I think it's a great thing to see. But for Vikings news, that's about all we've got this week. Everybody seems to be on vacation.
Let me tell you something about JJ, because I watched him for 3 years here at Michigan. He was a senior in high school. He went to IMG Academy, and that particular year, Michigan had I think that was COVID year, and they went 2-4. And this place around the Michigan fans, everybody was in a frenzy. And McCarthy tweeted, "I want all the Michigan fans to settle down, get a grip. Change is on the way." And this is the kind of leadership that he has. So one of the things people the knocks on him is he didn't have enough throws. He didn't throw the ball at all. He makes crazy decisions. But this guy, what you're getting in McCarthy is a leader. He cares. He wants to win. He has a desire to win. And from the day he got here, as a freshman at Michigan, he always was competing. He always worked out after practice. He watched a lot of film. He did a lot of things. So you're not going to get a quarterback that lacks effort. So you can say what you want about the system. He didn't have to throw well. But he was a leader in this locker room. They respected JJ more than anything.
Well, I know Adam Thielen said some great things about him. And my question is, where's Sam Darnold clips throwing to our wide receivers? We don't have any. But we do JJ McCarthy, and that does show a leadership trait that you want to have in a hopefully long-time franchise quarterback.
Yeah, he was here in Ann Arbor, doing extra drills, and they said he was watching film late and this, that, and other. So he had total command of the offense by the time he was a sophomore. So
the only other Vikings news this week is we've signed back Cam Akers pending physical. He will be the second youngest running back in our stable if he passes his physical. But he popped his second Achilles tendon last year.
Oh, wow.
And he just turned 25. He's been in the league 4 years now. This will be his fifth. He was one of the youngest running backs ever drafted. And last year he looked great, all up to poing. And so we'll see how that goes. But other than that, there's no big Vikings news.
Right. Pay, any news out of Chicago?
Biggest news we've got so far is that the Bears have granted a leave of absence to Jonathan Owens. If you don't know who Jonathan Owens is, he's a former Packer and he's married to Simone Biles. They granted his leave of absence request to go support his wife as she competes for more. I'm gonna say this again, more Olympic gold, because she's got all of them. So congrats to him. Congrats to the Bears for doing, the right thing. And hopefully, his presence can spearhead her journey into getting a lot more Olympic gold. And again, I want to kudos to the Bears for granting this, and kudos to Jonathan Owens for actually putting in the paperwork and requesting it, unlike some former division figureheads that we know of that played in this division. He actually asked for permission before he actually just took off to another country. Not saying any names, but
Who is that?
Who is that? Oh, I don't know. He didn't show up to the mandatory mini camp this year for his new team.
Just happened to be in a tomb somewhere sniffing mummy dust. But allegedly.
Oh, okay. I won't touch that. Foster, any news out of Detroit?
Not much. It looks like ESPN has recognized the Lions for our many the abundance of talent that we have as far as players that are under 25, which is cool. It certainly bodes well for our future that we have so many young players like St. Brown and Laporta and Sewell and Jahmyr Gibbs. And it's good to see that we're able to draft and develop talent, which is something that the Detroit Tigers and Detroit Pistons have not done so well. So we need to use that blueprint and spread some of that good favor around to our other teams. So
you just had to ruin it with some Piston stuff. Okay, we're going to take another quick break, and then when we get back, we'll wrap this show up. Oh, the Pistons. Oh, that's a bad. That's just a bad thing you did, Foster. It just won't leave. I'm thinking about the Pistons.
Tobias Harris.
Thanks a lot, Pay. Thanks a lot.
Tune into the next show.
Dave, you got a show tonight?
Actually, normally, yes, but not tonight. It's the 4th of July. Tomorrow, we'll be celebrating our independence from Great Britain and the King himself. And Tyler's taking the night off, and so am I. So our next show will be on Sunday. Two old bloggers. Last week, we went over, should you be worried about our interior 3 offensive linemen? I showed you the stats. It got a little dry at parts because we're talking numbers and all sorts of things, but it's fun to see where the key developmental points of rookies is. And for a sneak peek, it's generally year 3, no matter the position. Okay. So if they're good before that, they're going to be good afterwards.
Absolutely.
Which gives you guys hope there in Detroit. You got a lot of them.
Yeah, pretty much. Hey, you got a show tonight, or when's your next show?
Our latest show posted this morning, episode 83 of the Bear Claw, where we continued on in our fantasy football outlook series. This time we did the running back room. We talked where our projections are, what concerns should you have before you walk into your draft, whenever that may be, concerning the running backs for the Bears. That's DeAndre Swift, Khalil Herbert, Roschon Johnson, and a few other names. So if you like to play, check that out. You might find some interesting information. Other than that, what we have on store tonight for the frustrated Chicago sports fans, we have latest episode of What Did the White Sox Just Do? You got it's it's been a bad season so far. And I'm saying bad is probably the nicest way to put it. It's been historically bad, but there's some trade chatter for maybe the best pitcher in all of the American League, Gary Crochet. Yes, I said it. I did say it. He's possibly the best pitcher in all of the American League, and he's definitely on the trade block. What are we looking to get in return for this type of asset? Check us out. Might surprise you.
Foster, any upcoming shows?
Yeah, we got the post game podcast up next where we're going to be talking about free agency. We got a new coach. We just had the draft. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. I just want to throw out
podcast there. As in the Detroit Pistons.
Yes, the Detroit Pistons. Yes. The best pitcher in the American League is Tarek Skubal, but that's neither here nor there.
That's the guy you flew across state lines to see, right?
To watch him lose. But or I don't know, he might not have got the decision on that one. But yeah, he's also on the trade block. But tune into Corner to Copa to get more of our takes on, should he be and what are we looking to get back for that? So I don't know. Something about the AL Central. We're just getting rid of our best players.
Okay. 2 questions, Foster. When is your next Corner to Copa show?
The next Corner to Copa show will likely be Monday night, but you'll probably get a player profile before that.
Okay. And for the people that don't know, where did you get that name from? What does Corner to Copa means?
Well, first and foremost, our great co-host Dave is the one that actually brought my vision to life. But the corner is Michigan and Trumbull, which is where
the old Tiger Stadium
was.
Okay.
And now Copa is Comerica Park is the current stadium, and it's short. Comerica Park is short for Copa, or Copa is short for Comerica Park.
Okay, so
I'm a little jet lag.
Yeah, you travel a lot. Yeah, it's basically old stadium to new stadium. So maybe we should do like Auburn Hills to Little Caesars or something like that for our.
It's got a ring.
That's the only ring.
As of late, yeah.
As of late, yeah. It's been 20 years.
I got one last question.
Go ahead.
Since you guys cover basketball, who won the NBA draft?
I think they all lost there, Dave. Probably one of the worst drafts ever.
I think.
Yeah, it's funny.
I mean, you can make the argument the Lakers won.
I'm hearing all sorts of things that the Timberwolves did.
I was gonna say I like I don't even know who they got in the second round, but I like the Dillingham. Him and Anthony Edwards is gonna be dynamic.
Mm-hmm. And then they traded away a pick. 8 years from now? The kid's 12 years old right now. They don't even know who it is.
Right.
The fact that the NBA can do that and the NFL cannot, which is, I think, a good thing. The NFL can only go out 3 years. So I thought it was interesting. And I'm not a basketball guy.
Yeah, they it certainly wasn't the Pistons. I think the draft this year, the NBA draft, was one of the weaker drafts I've ever seen. And to go at 5 is just let's go ahead and get out of here on that note. Fellas, one last time, tell the people where they can find you and find your show, starting with Dave.
You can find Vikings First and Skol on YouTube, podcast, Facebook, and in written form at Fans First Sports Network, our partner. And of course, everybody in the division loves hearing this. Skol Vikings!
So that means we have to hear this other one. Same thing. Where can we find you? You have to make that noise. Just hurry up and get it over.
Thanks, everybody, for checking out the latest episode of Who Will Be King, your NFC North one-stop shop under the Fans First Sports Network umbrella. You can check the Bear Claw podcast anywhere you get podcasts. That's Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, wherever they disseminate podcast audio. We are there to be found. If you want to see something visual and still get the full episodes, there is the YouTube option found at the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fans, where you can get all of our Bears episodes, all of our Bulls episodes, and all of our White Sox episodes, all in one little quaint location.
Foster, where can we find your material?
My material.
Our
Oh, well,
material.
yeah. Well, you can find us on YouTube at Bleachers to Speakers, and on all streaming platforms at Bleachers to Speakers, as far as the NFL coverage and the Lions is concerned.
Yeah, we are fully moved over to the Bleachers to Speakers channel. You can still go to Motor City Metrics and check out the old stuff there, but we are fully migrated to Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube, and yeah, that's more ferocious now.